Guess what I just saw? Hey, what's up guys? I'm just walking around in the middle of my neighborhood because it's 3 o'clock in the morning and everybody's asleep and I have time to talk about The Hobbit. I have work at 6 a.m. so I'm not going to make a proper review, so I'm going to talk to you out here in the freezing cold temperature of New York. This movie, Desolation of Smaug, it was directed by Peter Jackson. It's the second installment of the trilogy, which will come out in 2014, the third one. This one stars, of course, Martin Freeman, Ian McKellen, Richard Armitage, and a few other people. And I have to say, the sequel was a great improvement on its predecessor, and I enjoyed it immensely. The Desolation of Smaug is like one big roller coaster that starts off and it goes really fast and it doesn't stop for the most part. There's a couple moments of dialogue, but for the most part this movie is really fast paced. The movie is almost 3 hours long, but the pacing is so well executed that it didn't feel like that at all. As opposed to the first movie where I felt really painfully stressed enduring that 2.5 hours, this movie I didn't want it to end. And the ending had me like in awe of like, I was just so pissed off because I wanted the movie to keep going. That's when you know your movie's good, is when your audience is pissed off the movie's over when it's almost 3 hours long. The new installments to the cast I actually really liked. Evangeline Lilly, who was in Lost, and I had a crush on Kate in that TV series. She was great as Tariel the elf in this movie. She has charisma, she has the will of a warrior, but she also has a sensitive side, and she reminds me of like a female Link. Not exactly Zelda, but if Link was a female, Tariel would be a great one. It was also very nice to see Legolas return, and he had a pretty meaty role this time around, and there's also a few references to what's to come in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, which is always nice, and it's also pretty much alluding to something that will happen in the third movie, The Hobbit. And the third movie is looking to be one giant chaotic mess in a good way, and I can't wait for it. But this movie, I was just very surprised at how engaged I was in the story, and there's not really much character development aside from Thorin and Bilbo's characters, and a little bit of Tariel. And we get a little more screen time from a couple characters like Fili and Kili, and Balin and Bomber. But this movie was very fun. There's a lot of really well executed action sequences that include barrels, elves, spiders, and finally Smaug, the giant dragon. Which, by the way, the entire last half of the movie with Smaug, which was surprisingly long, was the best part of the movie and probably one of the most memorable scenes in general of the entire Lord of the Rings franchise. I fucking loved it. The art direction, the design of the dragon Smaug, all of that was very impressive, and I just thought the entire movie was really beautiful, and it had a lot of great art direction and aesthetic. I can't even speak, I'm stuttering right now because it's so goddamn cold. The art direction in an aesthetic matter was fantastic. I was blown away by the most part because I saw this movie in IMAX 3D, and the 3D didn't bother me all that much, but I was just so awe-inspired by everything that was on screen. Now, you could say that the overabundance of CGI was being plagued by the prequel trilogy of Star Wars, but the problem with the Star Wars trilogy prequel was that the CGI was very obvious. In this movie, it's obvious in certain places, but you could tell that Peter Jackson still has some kind of heart in this franchise, and he still cares a lot. Other than that, my flaws and faults with the Desolation of Smaug are that there's a love triangle between Tariel, Kili or Fili, I'm not sure which one, and Legolas, and I felt a little bit forced, but not really, but it kind of drew on me a little bit. And you might say there should have been more time for character development and time to let characters breathe, and you do have those somber, small moments to get characters emotional. Even still, in this movie. But it is really fast-paced. It feels like a giant roller coaster, and if you're not willing to see something like that, then this movie's not going to be for you. As opposed to the first movie, which is more of like a very drawn, lingering setup, this movie is like one giant, it's like, okay guys, now we're into the movie, we know all the characters, so let's just let things explode and go nuts. So before I freeze to death and become Jack Nicholson in The Shining, like a giant human icicle, I'm going to rate this movie. I'm going to rate it a 4 out of 5 stars. It's a darn good movie. I recommend it to anybody who's a fan of Lord of the Rings, and if you've seen the first movie and you were a little bit bored by it, I guarantee you'll be blown away by this movie. But enough from me, really. I want to know what you guys thought. What did you think of the Desolation of Smaug? Were you a fan of it? Were you not a fan of it? What was your favorite part? Did you like Smaug the Dragon? Which, by the way, the voice acting by Benedict Cumberbatch was fantastic, and I would imitate him, but I'm not going to because I don't want to embarrass myself. What did you think of the movie? Comment below and let me know. Please subscribe to my channel so you never miss a review from me again. I promise you it's a lot more high quality than this. It's just I have no time. I'm seeing 2 movies tomorrow, and I have work, and it's overwhelming. Also, please like this video and check out me on Facebook, Twitter, and We Live Film in the info box. I'm John Maffio, aka MaffmanJones. I can't wait for the last movie, There and Back Again. I'm so psyched. Hope you are too. See you guys next time.